Hi folks, how you doing? The Aaron Michael Show, short edition. Email address, aaronmichaelshow@gmail.com if you want to get a hold of the program. At Wisconsin Aaron on Twitter. The Packers had the Vikings this Sunday at Lambeau Field. And I got to say, I was impressed with both of those teams in Week 1. First and foremost, most importantly, the Packers. Starting with the offense. I didn't come away from Week 1 as concerned about the offense as some people did. Number one, the Packers are playing the Bears defense. That has to be taken into consideration. Bears have a lot of talent on that side of the ball. Aaron Jones, he was never able to get anything going on the ground. But in terms of that, the good thing was that Matt LaFleur didn't abandon the run game. He stuck with it. Even when it's not working, it's still worth it to run the ball because you're setting up the pass. You're setting up the play action. Despite what Mike McCarthy did, which was run play action without running the football enough, you do that, folks, and you're not fooling anyone. All you're doing is making it take longer to set up the play, and it's not fooling anyone because they know that you don't want to run the ball, and they know you won't run the ball. So the fact that the Packers still ran the ball, even though it wasn't effective, it was still important that they ran it. It helped set up the play action. But the Packers were playing the Bear defense. It's going to be hard to have success against them, even if you're hitting on all cylinders, and the Packers weren't. And we touched on it. Aaron Jones didn't get the run game going. And the passing game was very tough to come by as well. I mean, you had the long pass to Valdez-Scantling down the middle, which set up eventually the touchdown to Jimmy Graham, who, ladies and gentlemen, I have been predicting for the last couple of months right here on this program that he would be the Packers' comeback player of the year, since he no longer has the weight named Mike McCarthy hanging around his neck. And, after the game, heard some people in the post-game show, saw some people writing it in the newspapers. Jimmy Graham has probably his best game as a Packer. Well, he only played an entire season last year with McCarthy, and it took until Week 1 of year 2 for him to have his best game. But it was good to see him get in the end zone. But, the run game, there wasn't much to speak of. The pass game, it was hard. They have a good pass rush. Bears have a good secondary. They got everything on defense. That's something that has to be taken into consideration. The second reason I'm not overly concerned about the offense is this. It's brand new. And they didn't play the entire first-string offense at all in the preseason. Now, the narrative all around the NFL in Week 1 was that the month of September is preseason for a lot of teams. Since so many don't play in the preseason, they're starters, and since there were a lot of offenses that looked pretty lost, that's the narrative. And I can't say I disagree with that outlook on things. But the combination of the Packer offense not playing at all in the preseason, along with the fact that this is a brand new offense with LaFleur, add the icing on the cake of playing the Bears defense, and I'm not worried about the offense. What I was encouraged about, offensively speaking, was that you didn't see Rodgers running around like a chicken with his head cut off. It wasn't the chaos offense like it was under McCarthy. And I said this years ago about the McCarthy offense. I actually started saying it in 2011, even though that was an effective offensive season for Green Bay. That offense, and ever since then, ever since 2011, watching the Packer offense is like watching 11 men running out of a burning building under McCarthy. Rodgers running back and forth, no rhythm, complete chaos, disjointed, however you want to state it. That's what it was. We'd be sitting here, you listen to the Packer pregame show on the Packer Radio Network, and it would be Week 7, Week 8, Week 12 every year, and you hear these guys on there. I think the Packers are still looking for their identity on offense. There was no identity. Not since they won in Super Bowl, the Super Bowl in 2010. The Packer offense didn't have an identity. Their identity was Aaron Rodgers go out, run around like a fool, and make something happen with your arm. And if you can't find anything, do it with your legs. So while the results were not there for Green Bay's offense, I didn't see the chaos. It looked like a normal functioning NFL offense. It looked like plays were being called with a purpose. Plays were being called to work off of each other, to set up other plays. It was good, I thought. It just didn't have the results. Give it time, and I firmly believe that those results will come. Now, the defense for the Packers is really where the exciting part is. Unlike some people, I don't think that Mitch Trubisky is complete trash. I think he's a competent quarterback, and I think that they have some weapons on offense that need to be stifled, and the Packer defense did that. We saw immediate results from the free agents that the Packers signed. Amos had the pick in the end zone at the end of the game. Zadarius and Preston Smith both made impact plays. Now, the defense didn't miss Clay Matthews, Nick Perry, Mike Daniels, or any of the other guys that they let go. The line looked good. Kenny Clark is impressive. The linebacking core is good, especially with what they added with the Smiths on the outside. And the secondary. The Packers' secondary is the really exciting part to me. Jaire Alexander can hang with anyone. Kevin King played and made it through the entire game without getting hurt. And he's just a matter of staying healthy. We know that when he's healthy, he's good. And I thought, even though some didn't, I thought that the old man, Tramon Williams, played well. Darnell Savage played well. We already talked about how Amos had the interception at the end of the game. Green Bay is in the second year with Mike Pettin as the defensive coordinator, and it shows. This defense is for real, ladies and gentlemen. The Packers won a defensive battle against the Bears. When was the last time the Packers were able to hold their weight in a defensive battle? It hasn't been since 2010 and a game like we saw late in that season against the Jets. Aaron Rodgers knows it. How many times after the game did he say, "We have a defense, we have a defense"? How many times did he talk about the defense? That's got to feel good for Rodgers. The dude hasn't had any help on that side of the ball since 2010. He hasn't had a defense. He hadn't had a GM who would sign free agents to help. And he sure as hell didn't have a head coach who helped. Rodgers has to feel good about all of the above at this point. He's got to be ecstatic. So, watching the Vikings on Sunday throttle the Falcons in Minnesota, you come to a conclusion. The NFC North has a lot of defense. And then, of course, you have the Lions. But the NFC North has a lot of defense. Bears are obviously good. We saw tremendous things out of the Packers D, and of course the Vikings, that's what they've been doing for the last handful of years, and they look good on defense. That's what they rely on, the defense. And their run game, that was back to form. Watching that game on Sunday, I told someone who wasn't watching, I said that the Vikings, they're running the ball in this game at will, almost like watching the Badgers run game. 10 yards here, 15 yards there, the occasional 20-yard run. They kept the ball out of Cousins' hands more than they did last year, and they relied on a good run game with Dalvin Cook and obviously their defense. But Cook, the Packers are going to have their hands full on Sunday with that guy. It's going to be a good test for the Packer defense. And the Packer offense is going to be tested again too. The Vikings are going to win games this season, and it's going to be with their defense. I'm expecting to see another low-scoring, probably ugly defensive battle again on Sunday. And I'm okay with that. I'm so happy that I can finally say that the Packers have a chance in a game that promises to be a defensive battle. You think about all the things that have changed in just a few short years for the Packers, and have changed for the better. They had a GM who wouldn't sign free agents. You now have a GM who gets you Jimmy Graham, who had the touchdown. He signs the Smiths, Amos, gets rid of waste and people who are trouble, bad, or just not fitting the system. See Josh Jones, Clinton Dix, Ty Montgomery, Nick Perry, Deshaun Kaiser, just to name a few. You had a defensive coordinator with Dom Capers. Every year the same thing. Defensive backs giving up a 10-yard cushion on receivers, letting any and all quarterbacks, great quarterbacks, doesn't matter if it was Drew Brees or a backup quarterback, any quarterback just march right down the field at will. Never changed year after year. Ever since 2011, it was the exact same thing. And that is no more. And you finally had an incompetent head coach with Mike McCarthy who didn't run any kind of an offense. His offense was chaos. His offense was Rodgers take the ball, run around, make something happen with the arm or the legs, whatever you got to do. And all of that is gone. I mean, it feels like I can breathe again. It feels like an actual normal football team, football organization from the front office, the defense, and all the way down to the head coach. And it shows on the field. Okay, so finally, something that came up last night during Monday Night Football. I touched on it on Twitter. What in the world was this horrible, awful, pitiful halftime show that they had during the Monday Night Football game last night? You know, who cares about listening to rap music at halftime of a football game? Give me highlights of week 1. Give me analysis of the first half. Give me analysis of week 1. Preview the second game coming up of your doubleheader. You know, ESPN lost a lot of people when they started bringing politics onto the channel. ESPN was made for sports. And when it started to be music and politics and pop culture and whatever else besides sports, that's when they started losing viewers. And rightly so. If you like politics, that's fine. You have plenty of outlets on the radio, on TV, or in print form to get all the politics that you want. If you like music, you can go wherever you want for that. Why does it have to be a part of a sports network? Politics has no place in sports. And I'm not interested in music in sports. ESPN was made for sports. When it stopped being sports, people stopped watching. Sports is an escape from everything else happening in the world. You don't want to hear politics when you turn it on. Just give me the highlights, give me analysis, give me opinion of sports, and leave it at that. Thanks for listening today, The Aaron Michael Show. Fan mail can be sent to aaronmichaelshow@gmail.com. We are not biased. We are not afraid. We do not change our opinions, even if they're negative. We will not talk down to frustrated Wisconsin sports fans, and we will always stick to sports. We'll talk to you next time. It's The Aaron Michael Show.